Hey there everyone, I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll and this is your 10 weather impact recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of the top weather stories from around the country. Check this out. Rumors swirled on Tuesday that Mount St. Helens in Washington was erupting as large plumes of ash were seen from nearby webcams. But that wasn't the case. It was just strong winds lofting ash from the last eruption in 1980 from the slopes of the volcano. Yes, even after 45 years, there is still loose ash where vegetation hasn't grown back. And since the snow has not yet fallen, that ash can be blown around by the wind, affecting air quality on the ground and creating dangerous conditions for aircraft. The Northern Lights made an appearance this weekend across the northern tier of the lower 48. This was the view from Michigan on Sunday night with beautiful shades of pink and green dancing near the horizon. And the aurora borealis was also visible out west in Colorado. Gorgeous pink color was seen from the mountains near Steamboat Springs on Sunday night. So beautiful. Thanks to everybody for sharing those photos. And also in the Four Corners region, 2 tornadoes were reported over the weekend in southeast Utah, with one of them estimated to be on the ground for at least 10 minutes. 3 homes were damaged, but no injuries were reported. The National Weather Service in Grand Junction says that tornadoes in this desert region are very rare. In fact, they've only confirmed 2 other tornadoes in this part of Utah since 1950. Staying in the desert southwest, Arizona's rising summer temperatures may be more than even the desert wildlife can handle. William Pitts is in Phoenix and shares how the heat may be getting too hot to handle.
When this place is finished, it will be home to some new tenants at the Phoenix Zoo.
The lizards we're going to be putting in, the native Sonoran desert lizards, obviously are used to warm weather, but you know, every year it gets hotter and hotter for longer.
Lizards can't regulate their body temperature, so when it's hot, so are they. They usually just go underground or in the shade, but that's not enough anymore.
Reptiles like warm weather, but the extreme triple digits, they're not a fan of. Growing up, I never thought we would have to worry about cooling off desert reptiles, but we do.
So the desert lizards, who've survived who knows how long in the Arizona desert, are getting air conditioning.
We're going to run cold water through the concrete to keep them cooled down even more.
That's in the zoo. But what happens in the wild when it's too hot?
And as usually happens during the summer, the snakes go underground, and if it stays hot, they'll sometimes stay underground for a month or so during the hottest part of the summer. But then after the heat started to subside late in the summer and early fall, these guys didn't come up.
Mike Cardwell studies rattlesnakes for the Arizona Poison Center in Tucson. They had 2 snakes radio tagged in 2023, and then they stopped moving.
In 25 years of radio tracking a lot of rattlesnakes in the Mojave Desert and the Sonoran Desert, I never had a rattlesnake fail to emerge after being underground during the summer.
Those rattlesnakes had died. Cardwell thinks they died during a historically bad heat wave, a string of days over 110 degrees. The ground didn't cool off enough and stayed hotter than the snakes could survive. Wildlife experts say if this keeps up, and by all accounts it probably will, we're looking at a bunch of wildlife changes.
But is it entirely possible that in the future, some of these animals that we see around Phoenix aren't going to be around Phoenix anymore?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, we're headed for a direction where the climate is changing faster than species can evolve to adapt to it.
The end of this month will mark 1 year since Hurricane Helene swept across the southeast, leaving many communities in ruin. But it wasn't just homes and businesses that were lost. The storm also wiped out nearly 1,000 bee colonies. Anna King spoke to a local beekeeper working to repair what was lost nearly a year after the storm.
When Hurricane Helene swept through western North Carolina, the loss was devastating.
Not just the honeybees, but the bumblebees and all the rest of the pollinators, they were all lost, and there wasn't anything for them to forage. The trees, the vegetation, all that stuff was removed through that storm. So it's reestablishing everything for them.
He says beekeepers impacted lost thousands of bee colonies. And to paint the picture, one fully established hive can hold nearly 80,000 bees, making this loss costly.
They would have to buy all that gear. That's probably somewhere upwards $25,000 or more.
So beekeepers in Mecklenburg County decided to pitch in to help.
Our first drop-off, we a total of, I want to say it was 50 boxes of bees.
Carefully transporting bees and equipment hours up the road.
The entrance where the bees are coming and going, we close that entrance up with hardware cloth, and you put them on a trailer, you put them in a van, and you just take them up.
And 1 year later, the work isn't done. More bees are still headed to the mountains to rebuild what the storm took.
Anytime you have a loss, it's like you want to help your neighbor. You feel for them, so you want to help out. Like, what can I do to help?
North Carolina Governor Josh Stein is asking for an additional $13.5 billion in funding. The governor says the state has not received nearly enough money during the recovery process, including some of the funds that were already supposed to have been distributed.
First of all, people still need to get back in their homes. Roughly 74,000 homes were damaged by the storm. Very few of those had flood insurance.
FEMA has announced it will release an additional $12 million to North Carolina. That money is designated for infrastructure and community restoration projects. Experts estimate that Helene was one of the costliest storms on record in the United States, causing over $200 billion worth of damage. Communities in North Carolina are also calling tourists back after the storm. Officials in Lake Lure say they're working to reopen the lake by next year. Ryan Stockett talked to businesses and residents nearby who say they're ready to welcome tourists back to their town.
So that's pretty exciting, especially for a lot of the local businesses out here.
Locals sharing their excitement after the town of Lake Lure announced their goal to welcome residents and visitors back to a fully restored lake by May. This happening after the lake was drained to remove debris from Helene. In their announcement, the town of Lake Lure says it has worked closely with FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers in the restoration efforts. The Army Corps has identified October 31st as the target date for completing the work restoring the lake basin and shoreline.
To us, it means the world. You know, of course, being a boat business, it's our livelihood. So this is the average hurricane damage boat. It was held down inside the boathouse.
Brad Peters owns a shop that fixes up boats, and since Helene, they've lost 80% of their business.
Conserve, you know, just try to not spend more than you have to get through.
He says the recent announcement goes to show the strength of the community and that it's taken a lot of people and a lot of hard work to get where they're at.
Stay lean until then, and we'll be ready come springtime.
Breweries along Asheville's French Broad River are slowly pouring new life back into a community that lost millions of dollars to the floodwaters from Helene. Walker Lawson shows us how these businesses are brewing up a new beginning.
Along the French Broad River, a sense of normalcy is pouring back in.
People are still telling us how excited they are to see us back open.
After months of cleanup, Highwire Brewery has reopened its doors.
So out here is our beer garden that was basically in the middle of our parking lot after the storm.
Last year, water nearly swallowed the building, washing away millions of dollars and leaving behind a muddy mess.
We did put a plaque up here on the wall where we think the water line was. That's where the mud ended.
For Christine Ferguson, the director of retail operations, it once felt like every pint of hope had been swept away.
It kind of took your breath away the first time you saw the water and the extent of the damage that it did.
But piece by piece, and with community support, Highwire returned to the river.
I think that sparked hope in a lot of people in town.
Next door at Wedge Brewery, hope is still fermenting as cleanup continues. The owner, Tim Schaller, sees opportunity in the rubble.
So what I've seen is you get a chance to do things that you wanted to do before you would never stop to do. So I've rebuilt this garden, you know, rearranging stuff inside. We're taking less space inside. So just being forced to take a step back and say, okay, what do I want to do? Not just get open, but how do you do it right? And like I say, at 79, this is probably the last one I'll do, so I get to do it really well.
His wish is simple, to see visitors back at the bar stools.
Well, fall is always wonderful in Asheville, and downtown is open, the River Arch is open, and it just come on down and we're going to have a good party and we know how to do it, so join us.
Back here in East Tennessee, one family in Cocke County was without a home for 10 months after Helene swept through the region. Now they have a brand new house thanks to a faith-based nonprofit. Lauren Lovett shares what that family has been through over the past year.
She likes her new home, don't you? Say, I like my new home.
This house is now a home, but the journey to that point has been a long one for the Webb family. They were left without a permanent place to stay for 10 months after their house was flooded.
It had made it to about the second step of our front porch. My dad said, well, quit watching it, you know. It's not going to flood, you're just nervous.
Stephanie Webb says that house was passed down for generations. Small flooding was normal, but nothing like this. And little could be saved from the home.
He said, you don't need to go, you know. And I said, yeah, I need to go, and I've got to get this, and I've got to get that. And I was naming off all this stuff I need to get. And he said, there ain't nothing to get, you know. And I just couldn't wrap my head around that. So what I seen when I went was just, it was just unbelievable.
That left them trying to find where to go next until God's pit crew stepped in.
They did it above and beyond, you know, and they're like, well, God would want you to have, you know, what God takes away, then he's going to give back 10 times better.
Their home is filled with new things like central heating and air and a dishwasher.
And it says clean because there's nothing in it because it's not been used yet.
But it also has some of the memories they were able to save.
Well, this is the only piece of furniture from the old house. Oh yeah, this is my family wall.
They say they owe it all to God's pit crew and to God.
A message for anybody, everybody that may still be displaced. Don't give up hope.
Right.
And don't stop praying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just keep praying and just
God
keep.
hears.
Cooler weather is hopefully just around the corner, and so is fall foliage. Now, it's a little too early to see much color here in the southeast just yet, but if you're looking to do some leaf peeping this weekend, you'll need to head out west. According to our friends at explorefall.com and the foliage report, moderate color is being reported along the western slope of Colorado. And check out this view from Rocky Mountain National Park. We have a blanket of snow that fell in the high elevations Tuesday night, as seen from this webcam at the Alpine Visitor Center. This is now what we call snowleage, with the snow combining with the fall foliage to create some absolutely beautiful scenery out in Colorado. We love to see it. Now, we will officially move into the fall season with the fall equinox this coming Monday. The word equinox comes from the Latin term for equal nights, when the majority of the Earth will have equal parts day and night. Our daylight hours will continue to decrease until the winter solstice in December. Now, let's get a check of your 7-day forecast, because I said cooler weather's on the way, hopefully. Not in the next 7 days, at least that's the way it looks right now. We'll see warming conditions into the weekend. Going to be another hot day on Saturday for that ball football game. Kickoff is at 12:45 against UAB. So that game is going to take place during the hottest hours of the day. So be prepared for that heat if you're heading out to Neyland Stadium. We'll introduce some isolated rain chances into the forecast as we go into early next week. And as I said, fall begins just after 2 p.m. next Monday. Thank you so much for watching. You can always get the latest on the forecast with the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.